When it comes to Social Security benefits, what is a spouse entitled to? That's what I want to address on today's show. Thanks for taking time to tune in. Hello, and welcome to another episode of The True Wealth Show. If we haven't met before, I'm Planner Mike, a certified financial planner professional and owner of True Wealth Financial. I believe that retirement should be prosperous, enjoyable, and purposeful. This is a show that's dedicated to helping Christians retire with confidence and clarity so that they'll be freer to serve God and live the life that they truly desire. So today I want to begin to unpack spousal Social Security benefits. And the reason why this is important is because remember, you only get one opportunity to pull the Social Security lever, right? Once you start it, you can't really undo it. So you only get one chance to make that decision. So you want to make the best informed decision that you can. And as we articulated in the last couple episodes, it can play a large role in your retirement, especially your retirement income, right? So if you remember, retirement income is one of the four pillars that supports your overall retirement plan. What you're trying to do here is create a sustainable retirement income that will last a lifetime, increase with inflation, and that will not leave you running out of money at the end. So it's a really, really important decision. So the concept of spousal benefits is the idea that in general, when it comes to Social Security benefits, it's not a charity. It's really as a pay-as-you-go system, meaning that you pay into it as you earn income and it goes into a pot and then you receive it out later on. But the challenge is, what if you don't work? What if someone doesn't work? Then in theory, they're not entitled to any Social Security benefits. But the government in general sees not a husband and a wife as an individual person. They see them really as a unit. That's why you get so much advantages when it comes to married filing jointly on taxes compared to married filing separately. There's a big difference in what you can deduct and what you get credits for and the brackets and all kinds of stuff. So the government sees a husband and wife, right, wrong, or indifferent, as a unit. And so therefore, along the way, the Social Security Benefits Act was amended to provide spousal benefits. And this played out a large role in when, more conventionally, women would stay home, right? So Erica and I are a perfect example of this. When we first started dating and we got married, we both worked. And then after our third son, Nathan, was born, Erica decided to stay at home, and she was a stay-at-home mom for a long period of time. Well, all those years while she's a homeschooling mom, basically she wasn't paying into Social Security. So now she's penalized for caring for the children from a Social Security benefits perspective. And the government thinks that is wrong. And so what they do is they have a spousal benefits to compensate the situations like that. As we talk about this today, I'm going to use that as an example, right? With the husband being the primary worker and the wife being the spouse. Now, I know that's not always the case. I have clients where it's reversed, where the wife is the breadwinner and the husband has been a stay-at-home person or doesn't make as much, whatever the case might be. But just to help with the pronouns and the terminology in this video, that's how we're going to paint it out. And honestly, it's the more common of the situations for most people that are in this situation anyway. So today, as it pertains to spousal benefits, first I want to talk about the requirements to see if you're eligible for them. I want to talk about the amounts that you can receive depending on when you start the benefits. Of course, we'll dive into Right Capital and show you a couple of examples. And at the end, I'll close with a micro action that you can take to improve your overall retirement. All right, so when it comes to Social Security benefits, first of all, you have to be married. And you have to be married for at least a year, right? So you can't get married today and then go down to the Social Security Administration office and claim on someone else's benefits. That doesn't work. You have to be married for at least a year, and you have to be of eligibility age, which is age 62. So currently married for at least a year, 62. At that point, you are entitled to spousal benefits. You can also be a divorced spouse. If you're divorced from a worker and you're married for at least 10 years and have not remarried since then, at least before the age of 60, and also are age 62, then you too may be entitled to spousal benefits. Wait, say that again. I know it's complicated, right? So if you're divorced from somebody, but you are married for longer than a 10-year period, and you have not since remarried prior to the age of 60 in one day, you can get remarried. And you have to be age 62 and eligible for Social Security benefits, right? So those are kind of the requirements of the way it works. What also has to be true is that the primary worker, so in our example, the husband has to have filed and start his own Social Security benefits. There used to be, and still floating on the internet out there, this old file and suspend rule, but it's been long gone. It's been gone for almost 10 years. It was the idea that the husband could file and then stop his, like pause it, suspend it, and then the wife could claim spousal benefits and get it while the husband's was still being delayed. That rule has been long gone for a long period of time. So right now, the husband in our scenario has to apply, and then the wife can actually apply. Technically speaking, the wife will apply twice. She'll apply for her own benefits, even if she doesn't have any, and then she'll apply for spousal benefits. Because when we see in Right Capital, especially when we get down to it, you'll see what they really do is they give you the spouses first, and then if applicable, they augment and add more to that, and that's technically the spousal benefit. All right, so the primary worker has to have also filed, which means he has to at least be 62 as well. So that's the requirements as to filing and eligibility. Now, secondly, when it comes to the amounts that you can have, the maximum spousal benefits that a spouse can receive is 1/2 of the primary worker amount, PIA, primary insurance amount, at their FRA, full retirement age. So acronym city. If you don't know what those means, you can go back and watch a couple other videos, but PIA is the primary insurance amount that this husband would get at FRA for retirement age, which generally for most people at this point is 67. The spouse can get up to, not guaranteed, but up to half of that amount. So this is why you want to understand how much yours is and how much your spouse's are to see if this could even play. Because if one is not 2 times the other amounts, then it doesn't even matter. It won't come into play. But if there's a disparity between the two, or one spouse doesn't have any, it would certainly come into play. Now, just like normal benefits, there is a reduction for starting early. And honestly, it's pretty steep. So I'll show you, I'll draw this out in a couple minutes. But if you start at age 62, you've taken a decrease of 35%. So it's 8.33 for the first 3 years. So 66, 65, 64. And it's 5% for the years 4 and 5 before that. So 63 and 62. So I'll draw this out here on an iPad for you, and it'll make a little sense using an example. Okay, so on the iPad here, just as a quick example, let's say, for example, the husband at full retirement age has a PIA of $2,000. So that means that the spousal benefits, the max they can get is $1,000 at age 67. But if they take it early, 1 year early, it's an 8.3% reduction. So bringing that down to $917. If they take it 2 years early, it's that same amount again. So 16.6, which would bring it down to $834. If they take it a third year early, it'd be 25, right? Which would be $750. And then at age 63, it would be $700, because this would be another 5%, and then this would be $650 as with another 5%, right? So it's really based upon this. But of course, in order for a spouse to get at age 62, the husband would also have to start at age 62, which means he's taking a 25% reduction. So he would only have $1,500, right? So you can see that this there compared to that there, that's quite a hit on both sides. Okay, so hopefully you understand how the reduction works. Now, when you're delaying Social Security as a primary worker, you get delayed credits, right? You can get more, but there is no more when it comes to spousal benefits, right? The maximum you can get is 1/2 of the spousal benefits of his PIA at FRA, right? So you don't get any more. If he doesn't start his till 70, then you can't start yours till 70 because of the requirements for him to file. And you would only get half of what it was at age 67, not at necessarily 70. Okay. So again, this is why it's important to understand what your spouse is getting so you can kind of determine who gets what and when from a maximization and optimization perspective, but also from, the larger perspective of how's this fall into our retirement income. Hey, if you're finding this information helpful or valuable, do me a favor, please hit that like button down there. It'll let me know to do more shows like this. Plus, it's a great way to say thank you. So next what I want to do here is jump into Right Capital and show you an example. And so the base case will be Robert and Rebecca retiree. I'll show you their kind of overall picture. And then what we're going to do is kind of change some things and compare and contrast as we go through a couple scenarios here. Okay, so jumping in here to Right Capital, we have Rebecca and Robert retiree. Both are age 61. And in this scenario here, we have Robert getting his full retirement at his full retirement age. He has covered earnings of over 40 years. And again, he made the maximum. So the benefits will be based upon that. And we have Rebecca here essentially in this starting scenario has never worked and also will be claiming at age 67. Okay, so in the retirement cash flow section, we can click on their income and we can see Robert's benefit in this case is about $50,000 and Rebecca's spousal benefits is 1/2 of that. So she's getting 1/2 of his PIA at full retirement age. And so together they have about $76,000. So that's very good. But now what we're going to do is we're going to go back to Rebecca's and we're going to change it. And let's say that she did some part-time work early in their lifetime and she's going to get $1,000. So at $1,000, at age 67, she's going to have $1,000 of Social Security benefits. So if we simply refresh this here again and cascade those updates through, we can now see that Robert, still 67, gets his full retirement benefit, and Rebecca's gets her benefits first, which is $12,000 and some change, and then she gets a spousal benefit. So she gets hers first, and then her spousal gets added onto it to bring it up to 1/2 of his. And so again, they have the same amount. So let's go back here, and let's say Rebecca decides to start hers early. So instead of starting at age 67 for retirement age, she's like, hey, you know what? I want to get some money early so we can begin applying that. And we refresh here. And so now we have the benefits here of Rebecca. So again, we're starting his till age 67 for retirement age. Rebecca wanted to start hers early, but instead of getting $12,000, she took a 25% reduction on her benefits. And so that comes up. And then now, once Robert applies, Rebecca is now eligible to apply as well. But you can notice she still gets the same spousal benefits because her spousal benefits didn't start early. While her Social Security benefits started early, Rebecca's did not start early because she couldn't get her spousal benefits till Robert applied. He started getting his at 67. So the spousal benefits is the same amount. And so the only difference there is that $3,000 that Rebecca lost. All right, so let's go back and change it one more time here. And let's say that Robert wants to take his a little early. And so we'll say he takes his at 64, so 3 years early. And we go back to cash flows. And now you can see here where Rebecca starts her at 62. Robert starts his at 64, so she took a reduction on hers. He took a reduction on his. At that point, the spousal benefits kick in, and you can see that those are also reduced. So at age 67, just in comparison, both of them at 67 had $76,000. Now they're down to $64,000 per year. But maybe that helps them start their retirement early, right? So who knows exactly what the case is. And just as a foreshadowing here, you can see that we have Robert passing away at 70 or 69, essentially, and then Rebecca's survivor benefits start, but those are also reduced. So that's what we're going to talk about next week. So hopefully those examples and illustrations help you understand a little bit more about Social Security spousal benefits. So as we conclude today, if you're finding this information and helpful, please consider subscribing. That way you'll be notified of future episodes. Plus, it'll help get the word out to others who might need this information. Today, we talked about spousal Social Security benefits. We talked about the requirements and eligibility. We talked about the amounts you can get. Showed you a couple examples and impacts in Right Capital. Now, ideally, this should be done in consideration with an overall comprehensive plan, one that considers your retirement aspirations, goals, income needs, timing, and a whole lot more. I understand how overwhelming, complex, and confusing it can be. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them in the comments below or send an email to mike@truewealth.show, mike@truewealth.show. So now, what's one micro action that you can take that might help you with your retirement? What I'd like you to do over the next 7 days is to log into Social Security benefits if you haven't already and look at what yours and your spouse will be for retirement age and determine if one number is twice the amount of the other. If they are, then Social Security benefits is not something you need to worry about. But if one is 2 times more than the other, this is something you need to be mindful of, and I want you to know that going in. Now, while spousal benefits might not be applicable to your situation, my guess is that survivor benefits will. And that's what we're going to talk about next week. Remember, spousal benefits can play a large impact of your overall plan, and you should make an informed decision of how they impact your retirement plan. Hope this helps you on your path to retirement that is prosperous, enjoyable, and purposeful. Until next time, hope you have a great day. God bless you. Thanks again for taking the time to watch this week's episode of the True Wealth Financial Show. I encourage you to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Additionally, you can find more information on our website at www.truewealth.show. One final note, though, as we wrap up to today's show. While I hope the information was helpful, valuable, and insightful, it's really for information and educational purposes only. Prior to making any decisions or taking any actions, I'd strongly encourage you to talk to your legal, tax, estate, or financial advisor who's familiar with the unique circumstances of your particular personal situation. Thanks again for watching, and until next time, hope you have a great day.